is Michael Tracey. Michael Tracey is a legitimate, honest journalist. I have a lot of respect for him. He's actually one of my favorites. And the reason this is significant, now you've heard me talk about how it was weird that he took a job with the Young Turks, but to Cenk Uygur, as much as I think Cenk Uygur is a fraud, he did give Michael Tracey editorial control. And so if you go to the Young Turks politics channel, Michael Tracey has a fantastic interview with a guy. They're talking about Russia, how not only is the Russia shit bullshit, but the Democrats, the way that they are speaking about Russia is very dangerous. So Michael Tracey is actually sitting on a Young Turks panel. Not only just the fact that, I mean, he's obviously going to sit on a panel, but we have a panel here with a legitimate, reasonable, credible person. The reason this is significant is because Naomi here is a total fucking, she buys into the Russian narrative. And they disagree. And I am very curious to see if not only if Michael defends himself, like, well, because she's like, she talks over you, like, no matter what. And we got on the right, Jordan Charlton, who is generally credible as well. And so you have two credible people and two propagandists, basically. This is fascinating. So the question is, who is going to win? Who is going to speak the loudest? And I mean, that's pretty much who's going to win. But I am rooting for Michael Tracey here. This is almost like I am a spectator watching a debate. So this is going to be fascinating. And look at the title, The Great Russian Debate, Are They Helping Trump? This is, I am surprised that they would do this, but I am rooting for Michael Tracey to get his point across because he is absolutely credible and accurate when he talks about Russia.
The Syrian refugee crisis, he thinks, is the biggest regret of his presidency, that they didn't intervene. It is a very tricky situation here. It's not like one or the other, and I don't have an answer, and I have really no opinion on this because it's disastrous either way.
I don't know how you could not have an opinion on Syria. Syria is a very researchable subject. Yes, it will take some time, but you can absolutely find out the truth about Syria in that the United States was arming terrorists, basically, to fight Assad. That's a fact, okay? So I don't buy that, but anyway, let's continue.
The thing is, Democrats domestically are making this situation much more fraught and much more dangerous by fomenting this utterly deranged climate around Russia in Congress, even in some state houses, in the media. It's beyond absurd. So the incentive that Trump is working within now is to demonstrate his hostility toward Russia and his antagonism toward Russia should something like this arise.
He's been criticized for Russia for the past 2 months. I mean, in the most tricky.
She's wrong. Trump has purposely, I would say, he hasn't defended what Putin did when I think didn't they fire a rocket or some shit. Or was that North Korea? Putin did something that was controversial. And then has Trump gotten rid of the sanctions? No, he hasn't. So she's wrong.
Listen, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. You can have a relationship with Russia, which he clearly has.
That's complete bullshit. There is absolutely no evidence whatsoever that Trump has a relationship with Russia. She is full of shit.
Like, you are blind if you don't see that. And you cannot use it as a defense as the Democratic Party is. I think the Democratic Party needs to start talking about other things, not just Russia, which is very convenient to their narrative right now, which basically removes all responsibility for any actions that they need to take. But that doesn't mean that we have to be blind to intelligence information.
What is the fucking intelligence information? What intelligence information are you talking about? There is no evidence of collusion between Russia. Rip her an ass, Michael. Come on, my man.
Well, but the Democrats are creating a dangerous situation is the point. They need to talk about other things, but
Dude, how rude is she? I fucking cannot stand her, dude. Like, how do you disrespect my man like that? Duh. Shut the fuck up and let him talk. Jesus Christ.
way in which they are talking about Russia is increasing the likelihood of some kind of cataclysmic military confrontation when you have U.S. troops and Russian forces literally in the same city in Syria.
Absolutely dead on accurate. He is completely correct. Now, let's see what Cenk says.
Actually, we have obviously total disagreement on the panel on this.
When have you ever seen that? That's why I was like, oh, I have to cover this no matter what. When have you seen that? I have. When, I mean, other than like rarely with very minor shit, this is major fucking shit. I know Jordan went from like WikiLeaks Hillary Clinton, fantastic coverage of that. Then he rolled to like North Dakota and has been doing the pipeline and I think water shit with like Flint and stuff. So I really would hope he also hasn't bought into the Russia narrative, because then that would only leave Michael Tracey as the one sane person. So we'll see. We'll see.
On the Russia issue. And I disagree with you so thoroughly that I don't think it's as much of an issue as you think it is. So here's what I mean by that. So follow my chain of logic here. I actually think he really is in bed with the Russians.
Fucker, there's no goddamn evidence for that. You know, it's so funny. You say that. I mean, look, you're free to disagree with Michael Tracey, but Michael Tracey, he's done the research. He has an informed position, okay? You are a fucking propagandist that spouts the same bullshit that you hear on CNN and MSNBC.
So that if the Russians fired and even killed Americans, then he really wouldn't do much about it.
How the fuck could you even say that? There's no evidence of that. Here we go, Cenk Uygur with his complete making up bullshit about Donald Trump.
So it sounds like an outrage. So what? Trump would have to do alpha male and he's going to show him. I don't think he would.
So in order to placate the Democrats, what Trump would have to do is take stronger military action in retaliation against Russia?
He's not placating
But in order to placate you and to placate Democrats, he would have to do it. That's why the situation is so dangerous.
He's completely right. He's arguing with idiots. Michael Tracey is arguing with idiots. Look how he I mean, what he just said is not even in depth. It's common sense. Like, that's not even what he said is like the most basic fucking thing. Could you imagine what Democrats would do if he didn't do that? They would try to impeach him. They're already trying to impeach him on no evidence. And look how that statement has just triggered the fuck out of him. And what's fascinating here, Jordan sitting there quietly, not saying anything. See, I wonder, these two guys on the far ends, I wonder what goes through their mind. Because look, Cenk Uygur is a liar. He is horrible. They have to know. I mean, how did Jordan sit there through the election? Now, granted, Cenk let him on TYT Politics tell the truth about Hillary Clinton. But meanwhile, Cenk is an absolute propagandist when it comes to Hillary Clinton on the regular channel. Now, I'm not suggesting that Jordan or Michael should quit their jobs or are doing anything untoward. I'm saying this is bizarre. This doesn't make any sense to me. It's fascinating to watch, though.
Based on the assumption that Donald Trump actually cares about the Democrats. Newsflash, the Republicans are doing whatever they want without the Democrats. They've been doing it forever because the Democrats have no power because they're only using the Russian argument. If they actually talked about issues, then maybe they would have more power.
The Democrats are aligning with certain segments of the Republican Party to pressure Trump on Russia, and that's where he has incentive to assert his belligerence toward Putin.
So let me just agree with Michael in part there. I think the Democrats do warmonger and are in bed with McCain and Graham to try to push us towards more hostility with Russia, and that's disgusting, and we all are against that, right? But I also want.
Are you? That's the first time I've ever heard you say that. I'm glad to hear it, but I've never heard him talk like that. You know, look, you can make the argument. Look what just happened there. Michael Tracey's presence on the panel just forced Cenk Uygur to say a position I've never heard him say before about Russia and how we should not go to war with Russia. It's very important that people make that fucking clear, especially with all of the bullshit that they talk about with Russia.
Be clear about my position, for example. So, I think that Trump definitely has to deal with the Russians. Now, I could be wrong, and I don't have all the evidence on financial transactions. Super clear on.
Fucker, you have zero evidence. Zero. You don't even have 1% evidence. What he claimed was evidence was the existence of Rex Tillerson. The fact that Rex Tillerson is alive and in the position he was like, there you go. He did a video on it. He said Rex Tillerson is the evidence. Human beings are not evidence, you fucking clown. How do you deal with this? We'll see. We have a lot of time left. Look, I'm not going to be overly disappointed if Michael Tracey doesn't destroy these dudes because, like, he's a laid-back dude. But, this is like, could you imagine? And you can't tell me deep down Michael Tracey respects Cenk. I cannot imagine that. I can't imagine that. How could you? How could you? I don't know what his reasoning is for taking this job. Maybe it's this right here, that they actually have a panel where you're bringing sanity to the panel, and look, it's like triggering them. But I will say this, they're not going to do this very often. I think they're going to go, this is very new, having like only two credible dudes in the entire network, and the only other credible person is the girl that travels with, what's her name, Emma? She seems decent. I don't know, I mean, I can't say that for sure, but she seems pretty reasonable. Other than that, everyone else on this channel is a fucking fraud. Sean King? Grimm? Oh, wait till you see the article Grimm wrote that I have a video coming out on. It's fucking insane.
Okay, my belief is that he has some arrangement with the Russians. Okay, now that doesn't.
Cool, I believe Darth Vader's real. So we're just going to go with shit, there's no evidence? No, fuck it. I believe Darth Vader is real. He is out there in space somewhere, because, hey, I can argue this. You want to hear my argument for why Darth Vader's real? It's not as crazy as you think. The universe is infinite, right? The universe goes on forever and ever. So, of course, somewhere Darth Vader must exist if the universe is infinite, right? Right? Cenk?
I want you to go kill Russians. Right. No. Don't start a war with the Russians. You don't have to prove anything to me, Donald, okay? So power down and get those guys out of the middle of that mess because they're going to get hit.
Well, two things are true. Number one, his son, I think a few years ago, said some of the largest deals we do are.
Oh, come on, dude. No. All right, I'll let him finish.
In Russia. So there's definitely financial dealings that he has tried to cover up.
Oh, are you serious? But there's no evidence of that. He said it, but you have to produce the evidence to say that, Jordan. Oh, what are you doing, man? You know what? I think there is a solid group of people right now screaming at me. Told you. I told you, hard bastard. I told you. God damn it.
But other than that, the fear-mongering and the hysteria has been on, Russia hacked our election and all this stuff that, Cenk and I might disagree with.
Ooh, all right, that's a recovery. He recovered. You know what? Listen to me. Look, all right. You might say I'm biased. I am. I'm biased towards him. I like him. I do. You know what I think that was? I don't blame you if you're like, fuck you, you're out of your mind. I think he had to give Cenk a slight blowjob there. It's his boss. He had to throw him a little something. And you know what? It is factually true that the son said that. That is true. But what does that mean? Well, you're not going to know unless you can uncover the deals and know what they were, if anything. Now, with that said, what he just said next, dead on accurate. So he kind of recovered.
The severity of that, but what it comes down to is if something happens with Russia, it comes down to Trump either is going to go with possible business dealings with Russia, or he's a giant narcissist, egomaniac who wants to look strong, and which one of those two things is going to win over? I think it's the narcissist. Whip my thing out, and I'm going to be strong. But no matter what Rex Tillerson tells him.
The thing is, nobody has ever denied that Trump has had business dealings with various oligarchic Russians. I mean, he's bragged about that. His family has bragged about that. So that's not been covered up. What's happened is that Democrats and liberals have concocted this narrative where they make dealings with Russians to be somehow uniquely nefarious.
Okay, first of all, great point. Secondly, maybe I am incorrect. What dealings are they talking about? Somebody help me with this. Because, look, if there's evidence of dealings, Now, understand what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about collusion. I'm talking about regular business, because he is dead on accurate in regards to the Democratic Party tries to make it seem like if you meet a Russian, you're like somehow doing something nefarious. That's completely correct. What are the business dealings that Trump had with Russian oligarchs? The idea is that, from the Democrats, is Trump is not going to treat Russia with a balanced, hand, because he has dealings and is colluded with the government. There's no evidence of that. So if there are dealings with people in Russia outside of the government, you can bring those up. I don't give a shit about that. That's irrelevant to me. I'm talking about people inside the government. What dealings is he talking about?
And that's how they've tried to fuel this narrative of Trump, quote, on being in bed or having an arrangement with Russia.
It's not just Trump.
But okay, so this is, we 100% disagree on this.
Well, what's the crux of the disagreement, though?
Michael,
I don't get it.
The reason is because it is uniquely nefarious, literally, because it helped swing an election. So
how? Oh, this is great. Look how dumb Michael Tracey is making Cenk Uygur look. How would that have swung an election? What the fuck are you talking about? Oh, this is gold, baby.
Thereby making it uniquely nefarious. And look, I don't think that they hacked us, so we certainly don't have evidence of that. And they did propaganda, and we do propaganda. So I'm not saying that it's like I've never heard of anything like this. And
well, then what the fuck were you just saying there? Am I crazy, or did he just say that he just made an argument and then just said that his reasons for the argument aren't good and that he's not really saying it? Can we rewind here? I'm sorry if this is going to make this longer. What the fuck did he just say? Okay.
To fuel this narrative of Trump, quote, on being in bed or having an arrangement with Russia.
It's not just Trump.
But okay, so this is, we 100%
And by the way, he's like laughing, which is hilarious.
disagree on this.
What's the crux of the disagreement, though?
Michael,
I don't get it.
The reason is because it is uniquely nefarious, literally, because it helped swing an election. So thereby making it uniquely nefarious. And look, I don't think that they hacked us, so we certainly don't have evidence of that. And they did propaganda, and we do propaganda. So I'm not saying that it's like I've never heard of anything like this.
So how is it nefarious? You just deconstructed your. Oh my God. He just deconstructed his own argument. He just contradicted himself. That's your argument. And you had the audacity to laugh at the man with the evidence, the man who is smarter than you. Oh my God. Cenk Uygur is never going to sit next to Michael Tracey again on a panel, let alone let him disagree, because he just made Cenk look like a fucking moron. Are you kidding me?
Egads gadzooks, and I'm shocked to chagrin. I understand that he has business dealings with Russia. Russia wants the sanctions lifted. Russia helps him during the election. So far, we all agree. And
no, what are you talking about? Agree on what? How did Russia help him during the election? Printing articles in Russia today, that's not evidence. There's nothing nefarious about that. That's what people do. Are you fucking serious? We all agree. Nice try. Michael Tracey should be like, nah, dude, I don't agree.
By the way, he will almost certainly lift the sanctions. So that's a uniquely nefarious deal. Do we have a deal with that, like that with Tanzania? Do we have a deal like that with any other country?
China. I mean, he's also objectifying China.
And Saudi Arabia,
pushing
so
off.
three.
I mean, isn't it Russia's own intention to make China the enemy also? And that is another narrative that he has pushed out there. Something that President Obama, it was discussed in the news, that President Obama worked very hard to make sure the Asian Pacific region was stable, and now China's thinking of pulling out of APEC.
But when you say help swing the election, I mean, what does that mean? It's not like Vladimir Putin was in Michigan.
Oh, he did it. I thought Michael Tracey was going to do it. Yes, make him answer. He's not going to answer. Oh, this is great.
Behind people as they pull down the lever. That doesn't mean anything. That's just Democrats deflecting from the fact that Hillary Clinton lost to a reality TV star cheater.
Yeah, that was great. Oh, yes. Fuck what I said earlier. I apologize. You're totally back in my good graces. Are you fucking kidding me? He just destroyed him. Oh, this is great. Oh, my God. What is he going to say? He's not even going to respond.
I mean, I get what you're saying, propaganda, this and that, but there's no exit polls that show WikiLeaks played a big role. James Comey played a bigger role.
And the other thing is,
guys, just real quick, let me address that, okay? Because, Jordan, everything's swung the election. So...
Yo, I've never in my life seen Cenk Uygur cross-examined. Have you? This I have never, since I have been watching the Young Turks, have I ever seen somebody debate him. He is an idiot. Are you serious? He can't even defend his positions. Whoa. I promise you, you will never see this again. You will never, and if you do, it won't be with Cenk. Wow. Everything so you just said Russia influenced the election. He asked you how, and your answer was everything influenced the election. That is textbook retarded. Oh my God, I can't hear. How are you going to follow this up? This is fantastic.
But I'm not trying to deflect anything from Hillary Clinton. She's 1,000% blew it. It is totally her responsibility. She was the candidate.
Answer the fucking question then.
Democratic Party blew it. I'm not in that camp, right? But that does not mean that the Russians didn't also help to swing the election towards Trump. Now you could say so did Comey, so did...
How? He asked you, what does that mean? He asked you a question.
The fact that she didn't visit a union hall in Michigan, and so did all these factors. And you're right about that. And what I'm saying is the Russians doing fake news, doing the leaks, etc., was one of the factors. The leaks.
No, first of all, what leaks? WikiLeaks is not with Russia. There's no evidence of that. And what do you mean fake news? Which fake news? What are you talking about? Dude, this guy is, oh my God. I never realized, like, he's just not even coherent.
I didn't mind at all because they were real news.
Do you see what he does? He contradicts his arguments immediately after making them. He just said the leaks, which he was referring to WikiLeaks, and now he's saying he's okay with WikiLeaks. What?
The fake news I minded, that was literally not real, but...
Which you need to name specifically what you're talking about.
Okay, that's part... Hillary Clinton's was supposed to fight beyond that and actually win, and she's running against a complete clown. So I'm not excusing anything she did, but that doesn't mean that the Russians didn't want Trump to win.
Oh, the liar's negotiation, ladies and gentlemen. We started off with Russia influencing the election. He knew, excuse me, they're not buying it. So now it's, well, Putin wanted Trump to win. As if somehow the desire... the desire of Vladimir Putin, because remember, ladies and gentlemen, remember on CNN just last week, we had a documentary called The Most Powerful Man in the World, and it was about Vladimir Putin. So apparently, Putin is so fucking powerful that his mere desire influences like telekinesis shit. That he's just sitting there and he was like, comrades, I would like Donald Trump to win, and boom, Russia has influenced the election. This is Cenk Uygur, ladies and gentlemen. Holy shit.
Because they most clearly did.
I think they took advantage.
What? Yo, okay. All right, hold on. Sorry, I got to contain myself. Okay, this is what just happened. So he counters his own argument, and then he's like, "But they clearly did." What are you talking about? You just said, you just contradicted your own argument, and then you said, "Oh well, Putin wanted Trump to win." And then you said, and that means they clearly did. What are you talking about? That doesn't even make any sense. Holy shit. You're going to kill me. Holy shit. What? And we have 10 minutes left? Oh, come on. This is going to be great.
Advantage of a situation in which they knew that the Democratic Party was at its weakest state. They were looking at the numbers, saying, this is a party that has lost 1,000 seats, raised all this money, doesn't have any investments statewide for organizing, and they're losing members under 40. So what do they do? They targeted those people under 40 consuming news online, and this is.
Are you? She's talking about. I missed something. She's not talking about Russia. Who's she talking about? The Republicans? You can't. Look, I'm sorry. I did. Those of you who were like, what is going on? I was running around the room. I rarely do that. I'm sorry. It's definitely not professional. I apologize. I must have missed something because there's no way she's talking about Russia doing analysis. Could you imagine if this is what she's arguing? Let me get this straight. You're telling me there's a chance that she's arguing that the Russians did like political analysis of the Democrats and were like, comrades, we need to make sure that we focus on people under 40. Like, no. Now, if you want to argue Republicans did that as a political strategy, fine. But the Russians, you got to be serious. You can't be serious here. Oh, God. I'm afraid to press play. All right, here we go.
Has been reported on with this fake news to spread out that propaganda. Now, did it influence the election? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know if I agree with you with that, Cenk.
She is. She's arguing for Russian political analysis. And then she's like, it was reported on. Where? I have never seen even Keith Olbermann, as crazy as that motherfucker is, I've never seen him put forward an argument that the Russians were actually targeting demographics. What are you talking about? You are making shit up. This is crazy. How are the two guys on the outers, how do they take this serious? How do you work with this person? Are you serious? How disrespectful must it be to Michael Tracey? This motherfucker, his shit is on point. And it's not because he's got some, like, special thing. He does his research. He's a serious journalist. He interviews people that know their shit. How do you sit there with this fucking idiot just rambling about bullshit? What are you talking about? Show me one newspaper article about Russia targeting demographics. Holy shit.
I really don't. I think that they're at fault. But I think you're putting a foreign policy issue and a Democratic Party issue, and you're muddling them together, and they're not. It's not the same thing. The Democrats are using this as an excuse. It also is a true excuse that Donald Trump has been influenced by the Russians. Look at the cabinet picks. You've had people who,
financially, absolutely.
No, Jordan, don't give them that. Stop doing that. That's not where. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, like, these motherfuckers, maybe there is a deal that I'm not aware of. I was aware of what Trump's son said, but even the goddamn piss dossier was like, we couldn't find any Russian deals. So what are we talking about? Where did he ever have a deal with the Russian government? Frankly, if there is, I'd be a bit concerned. And that's pretty much one of the reasons I think he's full of shit. Because there's no way I would have missed that. Show me. If there is, please help me. Send me a DM on Twitter or tweet it publicly. I don't give a fuck.
Influenced by the Russians, though, what does that exactly mean?
When they pay for your speeches, a year before, when you're making $75,000 in speeches per speech in Russia, when you're sitting next.
What the fuck is she talking about? When did Trump get paid to give speeches in Russia? This bitch is crazy. This is like, I don't even know what is this?
To Vladimir Putin at a dinner where you're honoring Vladimir Putin and RTTV, when you have a deal with RTTV, a propaganda outlet, literally that is what is fueled by Russia.
Look at his face. Look at Did you see him blink? Like, what the fuck is this bitch talking about? This is classic. What is she? Who is she talking about? The dinners? What? Jill Stein was at a dinner? You're talking about Flynn You have to use words to make it clear who you're talking about, because the subject is Trump. So if you say he, we're going to assume you're talking about him. And since you've demonstrated no ability to form a coherent argument, it's very difficult for us to figure out who the fuck you're talking about. So I guess she's talking about Flynn, maybe? But what do you, okay. How did Flynn influence the election then? Because you're arguing that it was through Flynn? What are you talking about?
That person's a national security advisor, not to mention Rex Tillerson having the largest deal with Russia, oil deal in the history of history.
So,
yeah, because he worked for Exxon. Oh my God, he worked for Exxon. Why wouldn't he have a deal with Russia? It's not illegal to make business deals with Russia when you are a private citizen.
So is that not evidence?
If Mike Flynn had given a paid speech in Israel and was compensated just as much as he was compensated for this Moscow speech, would you be just as incensed?
If there were 15 people on the cabinet and in the national security advisors' positions that also had deals like that, and Israel was trying to literally break apart the geopolitical situation, it's world power.
Breaking apart the geopolitical situation. See, this is where people who proclaim to be experts on the motives of, quote, the Russians. And imagine if people in Russia were saying, the Americans. What does the Americans mean? The American state is this huge multifarious entity with countervailing motives and competing interests. And it's the same thing with Russia. So this reductive interpretation of what their motives are, what Putin's are, by these amateur experts is just beyond...
Dude, he just executed her on live television. Or, well, this isn't live television. Yo, he just said that. You want to hear this again? He said this to her face. Listen to this. This was savage. Holy shit. Watch this. What? I thought he would have to be polite. Nah, he ain't having this. Watch this shit. And notice how she asked, how is that not evidence? It's not evidence. You don't even know what evidence is? How could you possibly make it to this position and not know what evidence is? Watch him absolutely slit her throat. This is amazing.
It's world power.
Breaking apart the geopolitical situation. See, this is where people who proclaim to be experts on the motives of, quote, the Russians.
People who proclaim to be experts on the motives of Russia. He's talking about her. That is savage. That is fantastic. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be there long now. Listen to me. I promise you, you will never see this again. Michael Tracey may never even end up on the main channel again. Because this motherfucker is telling the truth. He does not give a fuck about her. Oh, this is great.
And imagine if people in Russia were saying, the Americans. What does the Americans mean? The American state is this huge multifarious entity with countervailing motives and competing interests. And it's the same thing with Russia. So this reductive interpretation of what their motives are, what Putin's are, by these amateur experts is just beyond...
What the fuck does that have to do? Why does that matter? So let me get this straight. It's now a prerequisite. You're going to hold other countries to the same account. Like if you don't have a constitution like ours, then you're nefarious. And if any business dealings is unacceptable. That is the dumbest argument I've ever heard. What are you talking about? Why would that matter? Can someone help me here, please? Like, I feel like maybe it's me. Why would... What other countries have a constitution like ours? How is that? So I guess we can't do business with China. They're communists. What are you talking about, bitch? Wow. Yo, not only is she fucking stupid, she is loud and obnoxious. At least, look, I love loud and obnoxious if you're smart. I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck. Wow. Are you serious?
Kill our journalists, and they do.
Turkey is putting people in prison for journalism. And John McCain just went over there and was like, oh, we had a great meeting with the president. We have a lot of shared democratic values. Look. This video is fantastic.
We just bomb them and drone them and kill them and imprison them. I mean, no big deal.
Yes. Oh, I'm telling you, he is never going to be allowed on this show again because he is talking back First of all, apparently he hasn't checked his privilege because he's talking back to a woman. Doesn't matter if the woman is completely out of her goddamn mind with bullshit and is disrespecting you. Doesn't matter. This is, oh my God, wow, this is fantastic.
All right,
Yes.
So this could
Let's
go
all
on.
get a White Russian after this.
This is
Trump would like
No,
that.
he's still going. Let him go. Go.
It's like white and Russian. Okay.
But there's more to the story here.
one in the-
He has graphic 8.
Let him
Okay,
go.
hold on. I just want to say, just real quick. Okay, look, and we got to wrap this up. But
Of course, because he was about to even go further, and we have to stop the truth talker from telling because he's making us look bad. And, ladies and gentlemen, remember who makes the most money? Naomi Konst is making at least $250,000 based off of Cenk Uygur saying that they raised $500,000. Remember the video. $500,000. The first person they hired was Naomi, and then they said that Sean King was an extra. He was thrown in. So okay, let's be reasonable. $500,000. Let's be as charitable as fuck. Okay, half of that money goes to the cameraman and the production. Is that reasonable? So $250,000. Okay, so he's got to protect his $250,000 girl. So I wonder if Michael's going to get a word in edgewise. We have to calm it down. We have to make sure the people who are lying and spouting propaganda aren't hurt on TV by the people that are telling the truth. This will never happen again.
But Michael, in the case of the U.S., yes, there's a lot of different forces at play, right? In the case of Russia, there's one guy in charge. I mean, there's not a lot of countervailing forces.
What kind of argument is that? That's not evidence. Just do you think that in China or in Turkey there's not one guy in charge? Are you serious? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Most countries have one guy in charge. Cenk? Oh my God. This is amazing.
I mean, are you saying that Putin is not completely in charge? That if there's
When did he say that? So let me explain what's happening here. She just got absolutely eviscerated. Her guts are all over the table. She's finished. Cenk stops it because he was going to go. Yo, Michael Tracey is such a savage. If it was me, I probably would have been good there. He was like, nah, fuck this. Bring up infographic 8s. I don't know what's in infographic 8. I don't even know what's in that shit, right? He was ready to like dig her up and bury her again. Cenk stops it and then throws in this completely false argument and tries to say that Michael Tracey was saying that he doesn't think Vladimir Putin is the one in charge. Everyone knows Vladimir Putin is in charge. He's almost a fucking dictator, dude. You think Michael Tracey doesn't know that, you fucking idiot?
countervailing forces, he either executed them or put them in prison.
I'm saying this attribution of motive to the Russians as if it's this single homogeneous entity that can be reduced in that way is silly.
Normally not the case, but
it's silly, and you know why he knows that? Because he knows what he's talking about. And Cenk, has Cenk even read anything? I wonder if Cenk Uygur is rolling like Don Lemon. It's like whatever we put in front of you, you're going to read like a goddamn trained dog. You could put in front of him a note that says Cenk Uygur is a fucking asshole, and he'd be like, so Cenk Uygur is a fucking asshole, right? Something seems weird about this, but I'll say it anyway. This is what my teleprompter is. Actually, no. Sorry, there's no teleprompter. We're going with old school paper on this motherfucker.
But under Putin, yeah, the case. Under Yeltsin, no, there was a lot of different things going on, right? But under Putin, yeah, he's got a clear motive and he's pushing that.
So then say Putin, don't say the Russians. I mean, what does the Russians mean? That's a propaganda derogatory term to make people irrationally fearful of Russians as somehow inherently sinister. And that's what I object to.
People of Russia. It's not the
No,
people
then don't
of
say the
Russia.
Russians. Why are you saying the Russians then?
Who runs the country, who's
Would you want to be...
I will answer your question, Michael, because she's not going to answer it. Why is she saying the Russians? Because she's a propagandist. She's a fucking propagandist. You are on a network of propagandists. But this is great. Let me tell you something. Like I said, look, I'm a pessimist motherfucker. That's why I'm saying that this is the last time you're going to see this, because Naomi and Cenk Uygur do not want to look like fools in front of their audience, and that's exactly what just happened here, okay? They are never going to allow this to happen again. So this will not happen. But I will tell you this. if I'm wrong about that, and they somehow, I mean, first of all, it would be cruel and unusual punishment to subject Naomi to this on a regular basis. The poor girl, I would feel bad for her. This was an execution. Like, there's nothing. What can she do to this? How do you watch this and take her seriously after this? She doesn't know anything. She literally doesn't know. Now, maybe she knows stuff about other shit, but remember, this is coming off. Remember the video where she tried to own Laura Southern and she shut her down, like, immediately? So what are you giving to this network? This is amazing.
Called the Americans and have you conflated with the American government?
But again, no one's conflating Cenk with Donald Trump. No, I mean, or Lindsey Graham with Donald Trump. Putin literally dictates who.
Yeah, defend why you're using a propagandist term. Good girl. Oh my God.
Is under his government.
Okay, but we really should just finish the story because this is really important. I mean, graphic 8. Okay, so, and speaking of the deranged hysteria, which I absolutely insist is the case in this, Mike Morell, who was an advisor to the Hillary Clinton campaign.
Oh my God, he's bringing up Morell. This guy is a savage. I love this dude. What are they going to say? Joe Morell is a total Clintonite. He was going to take over for the CIA when Clinton won the presidency. He has come out and admitted there is zero evidence of the Trump campaign colluding with Russia. Now, what the fuck is Cenk Uygur and this dumbass going to say to that? This is, is that Infographic 8? Infographic 8 is savage. Oh my God.
Former CIA director came out, and this was reported by NBC News last night. He said, quote, on the question of the Trump campaign conspiring with the Russians here, there was smoke, but there is no fire at all. There's no little campfire, there's no little candle, there's no spark, and there's a lot of people looking for it. Now remember, for Mike Morell to make that admission is hugely significant because he, in large part, sparked this hysteria in the first place back in August when he wrote a column for the New York Times headlined, I ran the CIA, now I'm endorsing Hillary Clinton, and he asserted within that column, in the intelligence business, we would say that Mr. Putin had recruited Mr. Trump as an unwitting agent of the Russian Federation. A few months later, he said that Russia's potential collusion with Trump was, quote, the political equivalent of 9/11. So if now even Mike Morell, who was probably the most central figure in initiating this mind-boggling hysteria that is consuming the Democratic Party, if even now he admits that we should probably tamp down expectations of what will be uncovered here, I don't know, maybe it's time for a wake-up call.
See, look. You know what I love about this? I don't know what people have thought, because generally when I say I like Michael Tracey, I don't get any pushback. I did get some pushback with what's the other dude? Jordan, which is fine. Like, I don't care. But this is why I like this motherfucker. He tells the truth. That's it. He told the truth about Hillary Clinton. And I believe, isn't that what got him kicked out of Vice? He told the truth. And now he's at the Young Turks. And my concern was you go to the Young Turks, you sell out. No sellout for Michael Tracey.
Well, Michael Isikoff reported on this last year in April, and he's no friend of the Clintons. He's the one who broke the story.
So what? He just what? Address what he just said. Address Infographic 8, bitch.
Broke what story?
The Russia story.
Well, what specific story?
The initial the General Flynn.
Yeah, he broke the Flynn
He broke
story.
all of this.
And
he's not a Clinton.
Isikoff also had the Monica Lewinsky.
Look at his face. Oh, this is great. Okay. All right. Oh, yes, Michael. That's exasperation. I hear you. I could not imagine what it would be like to talk to these fucking morons. Jordan excluded. I'm still on board with him.
Lewinsky story, which the Clintons have not really
But I also think in terms of the media, James Clapper also came out and said there's no evidence of collusion. That was barely covered. Same.
This is a tag team. This is a world champion tag team. This is amazing.
Thing with this.
No, I think Michael and Jordan's point on Morell and Clapper are totally fair. And so,
But you don't agree with it. So what is your problem? If it's fair, then your argument is destroyed. How do you're just talking. He's just fucking talking, man. Cenk Uygur is a living, breathing word salad. All right, I can't wait. What is he going to say? He's going to make an argument, and then he's going to completely contradict that argument immediately. We'll see. That'll be the third time he does it.
I think the jury's still out. I can give a lot of reasons why I think that is not indicative of the final answer and why he?
Okay, so he did. He just contradicted himself. And what reasons would those be? Why don't you explain those reasons? You're just talking shit. What reasons? How is there's no evidence not the only reason? Where are we here? You're arguing like a creationist. You are a creationist when it comes to Russia. Holy shit.
You might say that, but I'm going to take the point and not even get into the minutia. Totally fair point.
Why? Of course you're not going to get into the minutia, because the minutia would eat your ass alive. This is great.
So I think that there is an issue, but I think that what I really want to do is get some sort of agreement here that nobody at this table, I don't think, is saying the Democratic Party is just fine if it wasn't for those dastardly Russians.
Oh, that's nice. Try to get the table to go along with your liar's negotiation. So let me get this straight. What you're trying to do, because Michael Tracey just destroyed the two of you in front of everybody, you're now going to try to make it go, well, we at least agree that there's a lot of problems with the Democratic Party, so we're all right. Everybody gets a trophy, and Naomi's the winner of the day because we got to protect her because we pay her a lot more money.
We would have won the election, and everything would have been fine. And
some have said not us.
Yes, right. So the thing that I think infuriates all four of us is when the Democratic Party says, "No, it wasn't that we were too elitist. It wasn't that we didn't run a populist campaign. It wasn't that we weren't that we were the establishment. It was the damn Russians."
Right.
And so that no one here believes.
Well, I want to make one thing clear.
Please.
When I'm saying, I think it's very likely there's financial dealings between Trump and Russia.
You gotta produce these. You know what you need to do, bro? You need to come out with a video just like you did with Clinton, and you need to outline this shit. Outline this. Somebody help me with this, because if what he's saying is not true, he's out. As far as credible, in my opinion, he's out. You can't say that shit unless you have evidence. But you know what? Here's the deal. This isn't Don Lemon saying that. This isn't Rachel Maddow. This is a dude that I think is credible. So I will give this motherfucker a chance. I am going to fucking look for this shit again and see what I can come up with. Perhaps, maybe there's a disagreement in terms. I'm looking for business dealings with members of the Russian government. If there are people outside of the Russian government, I don't give a fuck. Because how would that matter? Everyone has dealings with that doesn't even matter. But maybe he's onto something. I don't know. But I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
And that could affect his decisions as president. That is 100%. What infuriates me is being around the country and seeing misery, corruption, and injustice everywhere. Yep. North Dakota, Flint, East Chicago, wherever I am. It's not rainbows and sunshine. And I get emails that night from the Democratic Party, which should be talking about these things, but they're talking about Russia. Sure, if they want to talk about Russia here and there, or Trump's, a pinata, make Trump a pinata, that's politics. But they're not focusing on the bread table and economic issues, and that's why they lost.
Yep.
And by the way, there's a reason why they do that. So again, to end on agreement here. So
why do you have to end on agreement? And end on what agreement? What are you ending on agreement on? That the Democratic Party is shit? I think the only agreement here is that Cenk and Naomi are horrible debaters, and they will never make this mistake again. And Michael Tracey is a goddamn savage.
The reason they do that is because if you talk about Flint and all the other places, then you got to start talking about the donors. But they have the same donors, so they don't. Tackling the actual problems is deeply problematic for them because they have conflicts of interest on most of those problems.
Oh, yeah. I really think it's great that Cenk Uygur is talking about conflicts of interest, because it's not like it would at all be a conflict of interest that a news outlet is part of Justice Democrats. I am sure we are going to get nothing but unbiased coverage of the candidates in Justice Democrats.
You're talking about the skyrocketing drug prices. Well, a lot of the Democratic senators voted to block drugs from Canada, which would have saved us a lot of money.
Cory Booker.
So now, on the other hand, The defense contractors want hostilities with Russia, to Michael's point. So that's a win-win for them. Russia, bad guys, they're right there. And plus,
are you mocking someone for doing exactly what you do, motherfucker? You're a joke.
that helps our donors. So,
and here's another crucial point. And I've been covering these town hall meetings across the country, mostly California as of late, Democratic and Republican meetings. And you have these grassroots groups who have formed to counter the Trump agenda. Indivisible and other organizations sending activists to these meetings.
Oh my God, again, totally accurate. That's true. That's true. He's being honest about that. Do you see what I'm saying? This dude is legit. That's exactly, remember on CNN, they're like, oh no, these are just concerned people. No, half of them are fucking paid activists. Yes.
And every meeting that I've gone to thus far, without exception, the single most discussed issue among these most activated members of the Democratic Party's base is Russia. Okay? So people constantly tell me on the internet, oh, you're focusing too much on this fixation. That means you're fixated. No, I'm reacting to a fixation that is plainly evident out there in the public. Initially, this hysteria was contained mostly to the elite classes, but at this point, it's now trickled down to the grassroots. So you have liberal activists running around with Trump plus Putin equals treason signs, Soviet insignia. I mean, the most outlandish stuff possible that we would associate with the deranged elements of the right are now being replicated in this bizarre way on the left. So that's concerning because it's putting the Democrats in an even worse predicament than they were prior to the election because they're feeding into this hysterical narrative and they're letting it consume them and distract from what they could actually do to improve their tarnished image in the wider public.
You know what I think is funny? At the DNC debate, no one ever talked about Russia. They talked about losing races.
What, I mean, what? That doesn't change what he said. I mean, what? So what?
Oh, wow. Okay, hey, that's a nice positive note. Okay. A positive note for the Democrats on all the races they lose.
Internally.
Right.
We already hired one investigative reporting team thanks to you guys.
Okay. Yo, Michael Tracey, savage. That was amazing, and we're never going to see it again. That's going to be the unicorn. And if anyone has any footage of anything like that ever happening, where they bring people on that, first of all, I mean, how do we even have disagreement on the Young Turks? It's mostly circle jerking. Now, there are minor issues that people disagree on, but for the most part, it's circle jerking. That was, first of all, that was great because could you imagine how, well, I'm not going to say how great the Young Turks would be because they're horrible right now, but could you imagine if something happened to Cenk where he was like, even though I just took it right up the ass and Naomi just got her head cut off, we'll do this once a week. Could you imagine how awesome that would be? To actually have a discussion of something with credible people. They're never going to do it again, though. I promise you. They're going to put Michael back on the second channel, and that'll be it. But that was fucking awesome. I am the hard bastard. Thank you for watching.
And he practiced the lizard style. The lizard is a very agile and nimble style. It enables a man to climb like a lizard.